Thank you very much for your time again. First of all, could I ask you, what was the reason behind this takeover? What are you hoping to achieve? What are your goals and ambitions for Halifax Panthers now that you're in this position?
So Halifax Panthers have been a strong club for a long number of years within the Rugby Football League structure, but they've spent the last 20 years out in the wilderness of the Super League, and what we want to do is to build a structure within the club that enables us to get back into Super League at some point. And there's quite a lot of things going on in the game in terms of restructure, and we absolutely were excited by that and want to make sure either we go through on promotion and relegation, and if not, through the potential IMG restructure, which is around categories A, B and C, and that's about how you do things off the field as well as on it. That's not finalised yet, but when it does, we want to be ready for that. The idea then obviously is to get back into Super League and put this brand back where it needs to be, which is in the top echelons of this game.
You mentioned obviously in your answer that the club's been in the wilderness for 20 years. Why do you think that has been? What do you think the mistakes have been in the past, and what can you learn from that going into the future?
I think running a rugby club is a very difficult challenge to do, and I would not criticise anybody that's gone on in the past with that. I think what we need to do is learn from those issues, and I think there's connect with the fans, with the community is a key one that'll come out in tonight's presentation, valuing those areas. And I think unfortunately other areas, Super League for example, we were in Super League originally, but Bradford Bulls, which is literally a few miles down the road, really embraced that and captured a lot of our fans as a result of the way they marketed the club. So we've lost out on that a little bit, but that's something that we want to put right.
What do you think are the main task for this leadership group now to bring back the fans, increase attendances, and potentially it's obviously hard to bring back the booming days of old, but to go towards that direction at least?
So I think you're looking at, there's no quick fix on this. It's a 1, 3, 5 year strategy that we're looking at doing, and I think there's a real reason for match day's experience itself to be much better than what it is. And I don't just mean coming to watch a rugby match, it needs to be an event. If you look at some of the most successful sports, some of them are a whole day event, and we want to get back into that world. As I said earlier, the Bulls did that really well when they first went into Super League. And I think there's things around connect with our community, with the community clubs, all those type of things that we need to really embrace and work on.
You must be very pleased that with Simon Griggs, the last job he's done the last couple of years has been tremendous, hasn't it, with the team? How confident are you of your ability to back him now to perhaps improve the squad and go that one step further? Who knows?
So I think that's one of the key drivers for the consortium has been around, yes, obviously the club's got to be a sustainable club, and to be honest with you, that's probably my job. But in terms of supporting Simon, there's potentially some investment there for players, coaching staff, whatever support he needs from that consortium, and that's the key catalyst. If you look at some of the most successful clubs, certainly in the Championship, they've usually had a money person behind them. We've tried to go and spread that a little bit wider, but of 3, 4, maybe 5, and to give him that separate from the club running as well. So hopefully that should work.
I mean, we're entering some unprecedented times. Economically, politically, it's a very hard time, especially for rugby league, a sport which is in the north, one of the most deprived areas of the country. How do you go about this? Because this is an enormous task, isn't it?
The timing's not been great, to be honest with you. I totally accept that. I think we've got to get on the back of the Rugby League World Cup, which is going on at the moment. I think there's an opportunity there to increase interest by your local club, getting on the back of what will happen with the Rugby League World Cup, which I'm sure will be a success at the end of the day. We need to do that, but I think there'll be an outreach tonight around finding out from our fans what they want to see in terms of what's enticing them to get down. So there's some things on season tickets where we've made a few changes to try and make that a little bit easier in terms of the economic facts that are out there. It's just the countrywide, it's not just for Halifax, and money is obviously tight for people, but people still want to be entertained, and even if it's just a small ability to get away from that, the pressures that are out there, that's on your sporting days that you do that, and we want that to happen here. Success tends to breed success, so I think once we get on that upward spiral and we start to get the brand out more, and the entertainment on the pitch, that's vital. We've got to have a successful team, which as you said earlier we have with Simon. He's done a great job long may that continue. Hopefully getting it right off the field and getting it right on the field will be the way to go.
Just last two questions, if that's okay. Obviously, the five directors now at the helm of the club. Would you say, considering you've had so much experience at the club, you'll be taking a sort of leadership role when it comes to making the decisions across the five of you?
So the structure, which again will be rolled out tonight, is in terms of I'll be coming back into the club as chairman. So initially there will absolutely to be picking up the baton and running with it, because it's such a vital time in rugby, which I mentioned earlier about the IMG piece. The next 12 months is probably the last for promotion and relegation. So we need to be ready for that. We need to support Simon for that. But in terms of the board, those people have got talents of their own, and I think my role will be to empower and engage those people into working in their areas to make sure they get the right results for the club, and they're very keen to do that.
And lastly, for any of the fans who might be watching this, do you have a message for them?
I think our fans, we have some fantastic fans out there, and I am going to go back to 1987. There were 30,000 of them at Wembley, so they must be somewhere out there. Keep an eye on what's going on. We're not expecting you all to flood back straight away. It's going to be a journey for us in terms of enticing people back, but getting out in the community, watch out for Panthers coming around on road shows, things like that, taking the club to the fans as well as expecting them to turn up at the show. And I think once we do that, we'll get the right message. Hopefully positivity, success will breed success.